And the second game is apparently going to be a Regicide Fortress. Well, that's a curious choice. A quite curious choice indeed. And that's of course for the Peruvians, because they are going to be... They have basically recognized that the game is probably not going to be won by sheer skill. So they are going to be hoping that it might be won by a bit of luck. By, for example, some of the players forgetting to actually hide the king after he is done scouting in the Feudal Age, or rather even in the Dark Age. And that sometimes happens. It has happened in RTS League to, for example, Leo, who have left one of the kings inside the middle, or rather in the middle of the map. They have lost him, and that definitely led into a very interesting game against Thericlan last season, in season 39. And, well, they were able to overcome the 2 versus 3 scenario, but yeah, at this level, it might not be that easy for the CZ clan, because still we could have seen that the Peruvians weren't really that bad overall. So, looking at the civilizations, we are at Spanish, Chinese, Mayans for the Czech Republic A, whereas Peru A are going to be Mongols, Franks and Mayans. Interesting, the Franks in there. And, well, it was actually them or Peru B who have actually played them last week. I'm not exactly sure, but somebody played Franks as well, but on Arabia. It was definitely highly unusual, and it didn't really work out all that much. So, well, in here it might be slightly better, because you are going to be nicely protected. You are having easy time to actually boom out and boom off and whatnot, get your economy going, and then the Paladins in the Imperial Age, well, they could be really working. But let's see about it, because of course the Franks are just a one-trick pony, and anything else is a bit problematic for them. Okay, so we are right now looking at the bases, as we are in Mr. Tempo's base, for example, who is the Frank. It's going to be having the castle on the left, and where are actually the kings going to be hidden? They are usually hidden in the towers, not really the castles. But so far it seems like that it's going to be in the castle for Mr. Tempo, for Peru Amidala as well, and the last one is going to be full attack. That is not really in there. He's so far going for a bit of scouting somewhere across the map, as he is with the scout, and the king is a bit closer, as the kings are of course scouting for both Error and Mango, and for the last player, for Skull as well, and he's definitely going quite far away, just now discovering even with the scout where his opponent is, and he knows it's going to be a battle between Chinese, and his opponent is going to be Frank. Kinda interesting battle, but shouldn't be that bad for the Chinese, considering that Chinese do have pretty decent camos, and that's usually a unit that they want to go for. But of course, the higher hit point knights are a bit problematic, and might be having a bit of an edge against that, but not really anything all that significant, especially considering that overall the economical advantage should be coming for the Chinese from the better start, and yeah, overall simply kind of funny. Wall in and gates at the back, it's just going to be prolonged by extra few tiles of wall. It's not really going to be any kind of significant problem for him. Otherwise, front gold right now for Skull, as we are looking at this position. Not really front gold, that's reasonably safe gold for Mango. That's something he's going to be quite happy about. And otherwise, well, how's it looking with other resources? Pretty much fine for Error. Another reasonably safe gold for him outside of his base, but quite close by to it. Otherwise for Red, also safe gold. And is he having someone unsafe gold, or is it going to be just one player basically? This is also pretty much fine coming for the blacksmith already, as they are hitting the Feudal Age pretty soon, as is usual on Regicide Fortress. And well, of course, gold also in the front. So basically, both of these players on the left flanks are going to be having a bit of problem for the gold, or rather with the gold, if they are not really all that careful. Has to be said that Mr. Tempo does have extra gold mines behind his base, so if they actually played correctly with his teammate and wall about here, or maybe just right off here, something like that, they could be having a lot of gold for themselves. There's also another gold mine at the very back, and yep, that should be really something that they should be really walling off. It's going to be fairly easy for them, because of course trade route would be potentially coming from this position through the yellow base all the way to the top into another 2 gold mines that are there behind the base of full attack. So, how's it gonna go right about now? Is somebody actually right now still having king outside of his base? So far not, but Wallen is already coming up from Mango, as the kings seem to be all deposited. This is just scouts running across the map. Nothing really unusual happening, not really any kind of misplay or whatnot, as the castle ages are also being clicked in as fast as the feudal ages hit, and it seems like that it's going to be 2 for 2. Just Mr. Tempo is taking a bit of extra time, as is Skull just now hitting it. So Mr. Tempo is going to be the last. 25 villages, Skull at 27, but he's Chinese, so of course. But otherwise, full attack 23, Peru Cemental 23, Mango 22 and Error 25. So pretty good economy for Error as the Mayans, as he's also walling on the right side, coming up with the barracks. Well, of course he already has the barracks, because that's what you start with on Regicide Arena. And let's see, right now we should be seeing what actually the units of choice are going to be. So far we don't see anything all that significant, just rectangle basic replacement of buildings, not really even using them as a kind of wall, which would be definitely advisable, but yeah, not really happening. And from the Mayan, there's not really all that much of a doubt what's going to happen. There's just going to be town centers coming up to protect the gold and the stone and get better economy, but yeah, otherwise it's going to be castle for the plume touches, and that's pretty much it. Same is going to be for Spanish, but the Frank should already be. I'm kind of thinking dropping the stables, but apparently he's not really ready for that. Just now going for a wall in, and it's going to be just waiting a bit before they are ready for something. Not really any kind of early attack so far. Some surprise with petards and whatnot, so they are taking the games quite seriously and maybe just using the game to prepare for the next stages of the tournaments as well. Because of course, even if Peru A are right now eliminated in this match, as it seems like that might be happening as they are losing against the favorites 1-0, they are still going to be fighting in the silver bracket if they actually opt to do so, which I kind of don't doubt that they will be opting for, because of course there is still prize pool of quite nice $3,000 to be had and won. So yeah, right now running a bit out of wood, but he doesn't need that all that much as Conquistadors are already out, and that's going to be raiding party for him. Yeah, already switched into Mango, so we can basically check if maybe there are going to be some petards from him, or maybe from his allies. Chukonus coming up also from the castle, so basically all the castle units coming up. And nothing really all that significant, but you can see the difference in here, that not really any kind of big walling is so far coming up from the Peruvians, and that's of course going to be quite significant mistake. They are just walling the corners of the map. Peru Cemental and Mr. Tempo just paying attention so that they are not surprised by anything at all, as Mango is already arriving in the middle of the map, having a bit of a wolf train, of one wolf, not really much of a wolf train. That's just one personal carriage in there. And well, in the meantime, Cemental is going to be quite nicely ready with all the plume touches in there. That should be quite alright. But yeah, Mango should have already seen that. So he needs to retreat, as this is not going to be safe anymore. But of course, with help from Error, it's going to be just enough. Just enough, and this double might be a bit more than yellow player will be able to handle. Well, let's have a look at red. He's not really ready for anything, he's just basically booming, as you would expect from a Mongol. But could be potentially helping with some scout cavalry, but not all that much. And on Regicide Fortress probably doesn't make all that much sense. It would be just a waste of resources, so yeah, scratch that, that was a stupid idea. Maybe a few knights here and there, but he probably doesn't want to waste resources, he just wants to be as ready as possible for the Imperial Age and then the spam of all the Elite Mangorais and whatnot. In the meantime, Skull's just working with the wall-in, or rather on the wall-in. That's going to be fairly easy for him, as on the left he's going to be following up pretty soon as well with, not sure if this wall or this one. I'm kind of thinking that he should be using the wall from this position to the tree line, and then the one square has to be careful, because of course he does have the front goal, so might be a bit tricky for him. Plume Touch is just coming all around the bases, trying to find something to kill. So far, not really having any kind of luck, but he at least knows where the town center is, and potentially might be knowing where to advance into his opponent, as of course Skull is doing exactly the same, hoping that he can find at least a few villages on some kind of unsafe wood lines or gold or whatnot that he could be killing. But so far it's just going to be this scout, not really finding himself at the best spot in the game. Quite curiously though, Peruvians are not really walling in the middle. That's kind of tactical mistake, because they are of course potentially letting CZs into the back of their bases and into pretty important stuff in there. because that's going to be future trade route, as those puntaches from yellow are just now. They were having a bit of look around teal, not really finding anything to kill, not really finding anything next to blue as well, and they are basically forced to retreat into the defense, and that means that nobody is having any kind of luck with raiding like at all. It's almost looking like they actually error. I was hoping that some units might be coming here, maybe even starting with the trade and whatnot. So far apparently not really happening, as we are just at 17 minutes and everybody's having quite plenty of gold all across the map and inside their bases as well. Villager waiting for walling, as purple is having pretty decent army already, having prepared, so that's actually pretty decent. And blue flaring. Are they actually going to be attempting some kind of raiding? Not sure, but Conquistadors from Mango are already really preparing from this position. Conquistador coming up. Just going to be seeing, for example, into error. If he's producing at least a few petards. No, he's not. Just plume touches. Plume touches for him, and otherwise, nothing really that significant happening all across the map. I'm just going to be looking at, for example, the economy. That's pretty decent amount of plume touches coming for a bit of raiding. Economy for CZ 60, 62, 67. For the opponents for Peru, that's 65, 67, 58. So if we mean it, if we make some kind of mean or average on what or whatnot of that, it's pretty much equal. But curiously enough, Peru Amidala is a bit behind as the Mayan. That's kind of unusual, especially since he's in the pocket position. You would be hoping that he would be basically the beast player in the game. Not happening, but otherwise, full attack and Mr. Tempo not really that far behind. Not really that far behind at all, as already Skull is coming up with the villager. Going to be dropping a house, and Skull. Not having any resources for castle or whatnot. Right now going for the university, wheelbarrow, Potkin arrow right now was research for Skull. So he's basically just waiting for a correct moment to attack. And since green is not having any kind of army, and he's not really prepared for knights at all just yet, he's... Wow! He's really booming. 1, 3, 4, 5 town centers for him. That almost seems kinda greedy. Yeah, you can see there's going to be surprise for him. He's not ready for this at all. Like, absolutely at all. Siege Workshop being prepared. On the right side, that's Conquistadors with plumed archers, and they are probably going to be attempting to breach as well. Villages coming up for error, that's going to be for dropping a castle or whatnot. Yes, they're going to be dropping a castle at the top, as we are just now looking at the breach of the gates, and there is a second petard. Come on, Skull! Come on, Skull! Why didn't you actually breach through this sooner than that? But he maybe thought that since it's just normal stone wall, not really fortified stone wall, he's going to be breaching with just one and a few hits, and then his opponent is not even going to be fast enough with producing the walls. And even though he might be... Oh! It almost looked like that he wanted to position the scout there, but he didn't. But at the same time, there is still a hole in the wall, and he's going to be coming forward, and it's going to be up to Mr. Tempo to drop some good mangonel, and good mangonel hits into all those chukonos. But of course, not going to be that easy, because mangonel is going to be coming up from Skull. As we are going to be having a quick look on the castle drop on the right side, as there is castle attempted also by full attack, but it's going to be way too late, and with the support by the plumed archers and the conquistadors, this is an absolute disaster right now for full attack, because he doesn't have extra stone. Yeah, this was his only stone mine in there behind his base. He has been already quite nicely slaughtered by Error, who was still keeping the few plumed archers in there, and he has killed about, wow, about 5 villagers trying to build the town center at pretty crucial spot. So this is a very important stage of the game, because not only has Skull surprised his opponent and is right now inside his base trying to kill as many villages as possible and needs to be evading. Oh, yeah, that was a nice hit. That didn't really work out for Skull. With this mangonel still, this is putting Mr. Tempo out of his game, but much more significantly, we mustn't forget that right about now, even though Peru Amidala is trying to help his teammate Full Attack isn't prepared for this. The castle is just going to be destroyed, and it's going to be just a question of a few petards from blue. And, well, maybe on top of that, castle and number 2 coming up, prevent any kind of gold mining, and yep. Right about now, but just basically Semental not knowing what to do first. Wanted to get rid of all those booms. Right now needs to be coming forward as he needs to defend against what is going to be coming inside the base in there. Okay, finally some stables coming up from Mr. Tempo. He right now cannot build them inside his base as he's already establishing in the middle with Peru Semental as well. Basically trying to make sure that they are going to be safe in there. But you have a few Conquistadors next to the relic. Is actually pretty important on a map like this, and well, nice wall building right now by Mr. Tempo, and Skull will have to do a whole lot more if he wants to somehow get rid of Mr. Tempo on the left. In the meantime, economy, Mr. Tempo at 100, Mango at 103, 97 for the next CZs, then 84 for extra Perus, so slightly better economy for the Czech Republic team. But Castle right now down, and that will of course mean with his already Imperial Age, as right now everybody's in the Imperial Age, a bit more trebuchets, and of course Chukonus on top of that. So, breach has been made, just about now, as the trebuchets are just going to be killing the town center, and of course potentially the archer ranges which are being made, basically just to prevent, or rather produce at least a few skirmishes to defend against all those punt archers. Well, that's not going to be that bad. It's going to be taking quite a lot of damage, and extra help is going to be needed quite soon, and already is coming in because yep, Mango has already switched into the knights, and cavaliers are already being researched, so it's going to be a really quite fast push, and basically something similar to what we have seen in the last game on Arabia. One strong convincing push by CZs and not really much of an answer by the opponents. It's really looking like that quite significantly. Not really sure what both Semental and Full Attack are planning to do against all of this. Quick check on the left battlefield where Cavaliers are already in from Mr. Tempo as well. Going for Forging for better attack, with Pikemen for Skull to help defend, and Error, Elite Puntaches and whatnot. But yeah, it's just going to be a question of time before Skull is having enough Chukonus to deal even with those guys. And of course it might not really be needed all that much, because the battlefield and the top side should be really coming for CZs quite convincingly. Iron casting for both Tempo and Mango. Green potentially coming with Knights as well. Alright, and he's actually sending a significant portion of the units. So this should be a moment for Skull to advance. He definitely is. So with, of course, the Trebuchet, and going to be attempting to drop a castle. Oh yeah. Have just a few villages in there. He should be sending a bit more, and he exactly is, as already Halberdiers are going to be a complement to this army. So Halberdiers with Chukonus, good luck Frank dealing with that. And of course on the right side, even those Cavaliers are probably not going to be enough. 144 hit points, just 4 hit points more than what Mango is having, because of course French don't have the bloodlines. And that is something that takes away from them quite a lot. But yeah, +2 +4 for them, as trebuchets have been killed, and +4 +2 +4 for the teal ones as well, so basically the same upgrades. But yeah, overall the army is a whole lot better for the CZs as they are dropping another castle. So the castle seems to be quite safe inside Mr. Tempo's base, as he's sending quite a lot of reinforcements into the top battlefield to help his teammates full attack a Peru Semental. But yeah, that is the way through, and they are right now killing the town center, which is of course meaning also quite a significant portion of farms and food economy for Mr. Tempo. So even though he does have the second best economy at 121, he's right now going to be quite significantly crippled, and even losing the gold is going to be quite deadly for him, as even through the extra gold mines in there, it's just going to be kind of inevitable to push through in there. But we are on Regicide Fortress. There's a bit of scouting by Paladins of green. And is he going to be attempting to actually ambush a king? You should be really keeping an eye on that. Right now, where is the Red King? Probably here, right? Yes, he's still hidden in the castle. He's not really retreating. He does have a way to retreat through the back. He could potentially get away. Well, castle from yellow definitely not gonna get finished, as this is going to be just a bit too easy for blue with teal inside his base, because red is right now being absolutely demolished, not having all that much of a chance to somehow surprise or rather survive this, as green is just now running inside the base of Mango, but not really all that efficiently, and much more importantly, he's not getting anywhere close to any castles or towers with the kings. And where is actually the king from purple? Yeah, trade not started. I don't see the king actually from purple. Yeah, well, who knows? Who knows, but at the same time, of course, right now green is forced to fully help himself. He needs to defend against all the attack from Skull. He's definitely advancing forward, and not really sure it's going to be working all that much, even through the help of Cemental. They are basically right now recognizing that they might be, just hoping that this is going to be enough. Right now, full attack has lost the castle. But yeah, the king has already apparently retreated. He's right now at the bottom. Right now, oh well, he definitely got a few hits in there, as you can see. He's coming into the safety of Yellow's base and basically recognizing that, yeah, red is going to be absolutely toast, and not sure if it makes all that much of a sense to actually continue in the game, because of course, unless they are able to somehow surprisingly snipe enemy king, this is just going to be costing absolutely everything to red. Just now asserting the supremacy by the castle in the middle of the basin here, as purple is of course having quite significant problems right about now, because he's helped fully, or rather fully, Mr. Tempo is fully helped by Cemental. So that's full 2 versus 1, and that's another stage, or rather something that he could be winning, even through the nice unit composition that he's having. He's going to be needing all the help that he can get from his steel teammate, who is coming already into Paladins and coming with the reinforcements. And of course, trying to establish himself with the double castle in the middle of the map, so that he isn't allowing any kind of nonsense from his opponent. Supremacy. Are we going to be seeing some Willy Rush from the Spanish? Not really sure. But Skull has lost the castle. That was this one. Not really anything that significant so far. And not really any kind of scare about the king or whatnot. As Paladins are in for a bit of fun from Teal, and they are going to be getting rid of course, all the siege. But the reinforcements are still trickling in from Tempo and Cemental. Definitely something more is going to be needed from Skull. So far he has just basically nicely walled, is going to be preventing any kind of nonsense in the trade, but he has lost a ton of villages, like literally a ton of villages. And even though he's back at 110, he has lost about 15 maybe. Not really bad trading at all by green, but unfortunately not really all that significant at all. But still, they are, or rather CZs are having their work cut out for them on the left still, because this is definitely a nice push and Peruvians are not giving up at all. Bit of an attempt to basically secure the position from the assault that is going to be coming from Error pretty soon. Because Error is just killing full attack in full. Right now full attack at 30 villages, and he hasn't really retreated with any villages at all. Yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't, so he's going to be losing absolutely everything in here. Yep. And he's going to be completely useless for the remainder of the game. So of course right now blue is going to be advancing forward, trying to get rid of this forward base from yellow, and yeah, trying to somehow close the game from there, because of course the battle is not really so far going all that well on the left side, because Peru Cemental with Mr. Tempo are playing quite alright, and they are making, well, their opponents really fight for it, because of course this might have been slightly underestimated by Czech Republic A. They maybe could have thought that after annihilating full attack they are going to be looking at very easy resign, but apparently nothing like that. Castle being dropped by the Franks would be definitely better from Peru Cemental as the Mayan, but yeah, nonetheless that is happening, and this army is quite significantly pushing ever forward into Purple's base, or rather into the vicinity of the Purple's base so far. So Teal having all the army quite close by, and to basically eat into the middle, get rid of the castles, as blue is right now also marching forward onto the Maya, and it's basically the fight between Mayas, between plumed archers, and with a little help by the siege rams. All the upgrades of course on both of these players, but those siege rams, they are a bit more of a nuisance than what would Error be actually liking at this stage of the game. What are these colors? Okay, just blue. And yep, right now GG is being called, because of course with a full attack basically being fully dead, there's not much of a chance that actually Peruvians could be really coming out of this victorious, as especially right now with all the big army of Paladins from Mango arriving in the battlefield, he's basically been able to get rid of both Mr. Tempo and Cemental at once. And since Cemental is right now forced to fully defend against Error. It's going to be just a 2 versus 1 against those Frank Paladins, and that's not something that he could be really fighting all that much, especially with the halberdiers from the Chinese helping in the effort. So nicely played by CZs, and they are going to be advancing into the next round, into round of 32. It's already third round of the tournament after winning against Peru A 2-0. So nicely played. Nicely played, nicely timed. Push both on the left and on the right, which basically meant that the pocket player didn't know where to help first. And that usually results in mistakes, and of course CZs capitalized on that. Surgical precision against full attack, and even though Skull was repelled by Mr. Tempo on the left, in the long run it didn't really matter all that much because it was exactly what was needed to help his teammates on the right to win. So let's check the achievements. Mango having the most score. I'm kinda, in this game, I'm thinking that Error was actually playing better. And he was actually playing better, but otherwise, I wasn't really all that disappointed in Peruvians. Cemental was playing quite alright, Tempo as well. But yeah, overall, Error, I think, was playing the best. His push onto full attack, that was really nicely executed. Not much of a chance for the red player to do anything against that. Okay then, GG. So that has...